Hello, my name is Teacher Whitney, and these are tips and tricks for your mock class 1. Many of these skills are taught at coaching days throughout the country. There's a link below to see if there's a coaching day near you. I highly recommend attending if you can. I am a coach at these coaching days. If you would like me to help you through the application process, please use my link below. For your mock, you'll want to be prepared with a few things: a mouse, a headset, good lighting. Mine would be better if I had a light right here. And a background. It doesn't have to be a fancy background, but it should look like a dedicated teaching area and have something educational. If you don't have any of these things, try to borrow them before you buy them so you're not spending money unnecessarily. Your Mock 1 is divided into a lower level and an upper level. The first half is the lower level. You'll have 15 minutes to teach 14 slides. You should average about a minute per slide. Slide 1. Hello! My name is Teacher Whitney. What is your name? My name is Mary. Good. How old are you, Mary? Good. I am 5 years old. Very good. Letter X. Good job. Start requiring full sentences from the student at the very beginning. If they don't give a full sentence with their name, correct them. We always use positive correction. You should make sure your introduction is warm and ask the student at least one question aside from their name. Slide 2. You do not have to use the reward system provided by VIPKID. Use this slide to introduce whatever reward you choose. You should use the phrase, "When you do a good job, you get a drawing, a magnet, a cookie." There are tons of different reward ideas on YouTube. Slide 3. It is important to note you do not have to follow the teacher directions exactly. You do want to use the red sentence as that is the target sentence frame. This is a warm-up. The goal is to get the student talking. They should already know all of these words, although they may forget some. You can say the word and have them repeat, and then ask, "What do you see?" They should say, "I see a tomato. I see a ruler." Or you could just start, circle the item and say, "What do you see?" and see how they do. The warm-up is a great time to gauge the student's ability. If they've forgotten a lot of vocabulary, you'll want to prompt them first. If this is easy for them, it's something you can get through quickly and use more time on something else later. A few important things on this slide. Number 1, you should not be saying anything aside from circle the vocabulary word, the vocabulary words, the sentence frame, and "what do you see?" Any other talking is too much incidental language. Number 2, the student should be answering incomplete sentences. If they don't, you should be correcting them. Number 3, watch for missing articles and incorrect articles. These are things you should also correct. If the student says, "I see a elbow," good job. "I see an elbow." Make sure you use TPR. Try to talk as little as possible. Your goal is 50-50 teacher talk to student talk at this level. Slide 4. This is a review slide. You are not teaching the student anything new. The only thing you should be saying on this slide is the letter sound, big letter, small letter, and draw a line. Make sure you're using and watching for the correct synthetic phonics. K, s, Make sure the student is repeating everything you say. The only time you should be talking in this entire lesson is if you're giving a reward, if you're giving a direction, if you want the student to repeat you, or if you want the student to respond to you. On this slide, you should start with "I do" and model. Big L. Small L. Good. Draw a line. Good job. Based on how they do, you can have them repeating throughout the entire slide, or you can move it more to a "we do," where you're helping a little, or a "you do," where the student is doing most of the work on their own. Getting to "you do" quickly is the goal of every slide, but you need to be able to adapt to the student's ability. You need to use at least 2 different kinds of props in each lesson. This is a great slide to have some flashcards ready. If the student's unsure of which letter to draw a line to, rather than talking, you could hold up the card and show them. Slide number 5. This is also a review. On this slide, there is no reason to say K, or E. You can start by saying k, eh. Again, start with I do. Circle the elevator and say, elevator starts with eh. Good. Draw a line. You can then circle the egg and ask, what sound does egg start with? If they respond, egg starts with eh, you know they've got it. Have them draw a line and continue on. If they answer eh, make sure to correct. Egg starts with eh. They should always be giving you complete sentences. This is another opportunity to use flashcards if you would like. Slide number 6 starts new content. When you introduce new content, you should be sure to repeat it at least 3 times. On this, you'll say X 3 times, big X 3 times, small x, not little x, small x 3 times, x 3 times. Each time you say it, the student will repeat. And then you'll teach the sentence, X makes the sound X. Depending on how they do, you may have them repeat this a couple of times as well. You can test them and ask the question, what sound does X make? Again, if they answer X, be sure to prompt them, X makes the sound X. Slide number 7 is also new content. This is a great time to use a prop if you have a stuffed fox or a picture of a fox. This is also a great time to use TPR. When you're having the student repeat 3 times, you can use different sounds or voices to engage them. Fox! 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 Good job. After repeating the word 3 times, you'll give them the sentence. I see a fox. TPR means total physical response, which means the student should be doing it as well. If you say the sentence and they say, I see a fox. I see a fox. Get them to use their hands to respond. You can then ask the question, what do you see? If they say fox, again, prompt for a complete sentence. I see a fox. Rather than just giving the full sentence each time, you can also use TPR to prompt them. If they just say fox, good, or I. There are many ways to get the student to give you a full sentence. Slide 8 can be done exactly like slide 7. Slide 9 is a great time to give a reward. You should be giving praise on every single slide, and you should be giving a reward every couple of slides. Slide 10 is a phonics slide. Again, make sure you're using and listening for correct synthetic phonics. A, x, t, f, Those are the sounds you should be listening for. Not fa, not ma. A, x, t, f, The only thing you need to say on this slide is the letter sounds. You could use flashcards, magnetic letters, TPR, or just a whiteboard. A, x, axe. Good job. T, very good. Excellent job. And by the end, they should be doing it on their own. You may need to correct if they're using incorrect synthetic phonics, but they should be able to blend this very easily. My preference is to teach phonics like this. A, x, axe. Good. T, axe. Tax. Very good. Slides 11 and 12 are a memory game. It is very important to remember that the point is not to teach them how to play memory. The point is to practice the vocabulary and the sentence frames in this unit. If you can print out a slide and use post-it notes, that would be a great prop. If you can't, you can use what's right on the screen. The students just learned these words, so you can test them on it. Circle the X. What do you see? Good. Fox. What do you see? Very good. What do you see? Good job. Then flip to the next slide. Circle where the X is and see if they can tell you that it's an X. If they can't, it's okay. The point is just to get them talking. So flip back to the other slide, remind them of what's there, and then ask them again. This slide is very easy to use too much teacher talk. You should only be saying, what do you see? I see a, and the vocabulary words. If you want, you can also have them circle. Circle the X. Circle the fox. A great way to catch up on time is to skip that bottom row. If your student's really getting it, they don't need that extra practice. If you have the time, go ahead and do that bottom row. Slide 13 is another phonics slide. A great one for this would be to write Ix on a whiteboard and hold up the different flashcards or magnetic letters to get them to say the different words. Again, you would start by modeling and having them repeat Ix and maybe the first sound as they blend, but as they continue on, try and get them to do it on their own. On this slide, you should only be saying letter sounds and the short words they make. Again, make sure you're using and listening for correct synthetic phonics. I, X, K, S, M, T. And finally is your goodbye slide. If you've got extra time, this is a great opportunity to count the rewards that the student has earned or review the vocabulary words. After you've counted your rewards and finished up, you can end with goodbye. You want to make sure you fill the entire 15 minutes. Most people don't finish the slides within 15 minutes, so finishing early probably won't be a concern. Regardless of where you are in the slides, as soon as you get to 15 minutes, your mentor will stop you. After that, your mentor is going to give you some feedback on how you did. Take that feedback graciously. You don't have to agree with everything they say, but they know what they're talking about. Try and take the things that they say and apply it to the second half of the mock. For the second half, you'll be teaching an upper level student. You will have 10 minutes to complete 10 slides, so again, you should budget for about a minute per slide. The introduction will be very similar to the lower level, but you'll want to ask 2 questions in addition to their name as opposed to 1. Also, this lesson does not have a reward slide. You need to do a reward. Introduce your reward on this introduction slide. Many of these slides are going to follow the same process. First, you want to introduce the vocabulary. The new vocabulary is read. Have the student repeat it at least 2 times. If they're having trouble pronouncing it, have them repeat it more times. Next, you're going to bracket or circle or underline the passage and ask the student to read. Please read. While they're reading, you want to listen very carefully for any pronunciation issues. I underline them as they're reading. Once they're finished, I circle the word, say it, and have them repeat it. If they got it that first time, we move on. If they need some extra practice saying it, we practice it. They do not need to repeat the entire sentence, just the word they made a mistake on. After that, you're going to teach the vocabulary word. This slide has quite a long definition for country. You might want to have a printout with the 5 things that make up a country. Your mock mentor may ask you what government means, so be prepared with a simple definition. After that, ask an extension question. It's best if you can get them to use that vocabulary word in their answer. For instance, what is a country you have been to? Thailand is a country that I have been to. Just like the lower levels, you always want them to answer in complete sentences. Slide number 17 will be done exactly the same. They will probably mispronounce the word peace, especially because you'll be teaching soft C at the end of the lesson. On this slide, you will define flag and cloth. Make sure that when you give a definition, the student is repeating it back to you. Make sure you end with an extension question or 2. You could ask them to describe their flag, for instance. On slide 18, even though flag is in red, you do not need to have them repeat it first because they did that on the previous slide. On this slide, you need to teach represents. At the bottom, it says represents stands for. Do not use that definition. If you say represents means stands for, your mock mentor will likely stand up. Instead, you can say represents means when I see this, it makes me think of something else. Another trick when you have a long definition is to type it into the chat box. Then the student can read what you've written. After giving that definition, give an example. When I see the American flag, it makes me think of America. The American flag represents America. You can give another example if you have it. When I see this, it makes me think of apple. This represents apple. Make sure the student is repeating back everything that you say. At this higher level, the student should be talking 70% of the time and you should only be talking 30% of the time. On slide 19, you'll want to start with the Chinese characters. This will be a great one to have them repeat. If you ask a Chinese student what Chinese characters represent, they'll probably read them to you. Circle the Chinese characters and say, "These are Chinese characters. They represent the Chinese language." Good. You can then start with McDonald's. Circle it and ask, When you see this, what do you think of? Good. This represents McDonald's. With Mercedes, again, ask the question, when you see this, what do you think of? Good. The answer is not as important as knowing that they know what represents means. If they say cars instead of Mercedes, that's fine. By the time you get to Puma, you can get rid of that extra question and just ask, what does this represent? Again, they might say Puma, they might say animals, they might say sports. It's all okay as long as you can see that it does represent that thing. If you're running short on time, you do not need to do every symbol on this page. Slide 20, you'll again follow that process. Have the student repeat capital. Have the student read all of the words. Correct any mistakes they make, define capital, and then ask an extension question or two. Be wary of yes-no questions. We want to get the student talking. If you ask a yes-no question, make sure you follow it up. Have you ever been to Beijing? Yes. Yes, I have been to Beijing. Good. What did you see there? Tell me about it. What was your favorite part? Again, watch your time. I recommend having a timer so that you can plan for about a minute per slide. If you've got extra time, ask more extension questions. If you're running short on time, cut them down. Slide 21 is going to follow the same process. You'll have them read the top, middle, and bottom sections, and then you can circle each landmark and have them read it. If you have the time, extend and have them say, the Yellow Mountains are a landmark. The Great Wall is a landmark, using that vocabulary word multiple times. On slide 22, they need to sort the pictures. Some students like to just put things in their place and be ready to move on. But then they've missed the talking, which is the most important part. Students should give full sentences for each one. The Great Wall is made by people. The Yellow River is natural. You can model the first one and have them repeat, but the student should be able to do the rest on their own. You won't even need to ask, is the Yellow River natural or made by people each time? With the older levels, you still need to use two different types of props. A great prop to use with the older levels is real pictures. You can print them out if you have a printer, or if you want to use your phone, just make sure you have them ready and that your phone is on silent. I like to put pictures into Google Slides so that I can just flip through them. For slide 23, I would start by asking, what sound does C make? Good. C makes the sound K. Sometimes C makes the sound S. Very good. I would then read the first one or two for them and have them repeat, and then have them try the rest of the words. If they're reading them all at once, just make a mark if they make a mistake and fix it at the end. For the goodbye slide, you can give another reward, go over how many rewards they got, or ask extension questions. Most people do not finish these slides. So if you have extra time, feel free to ask questions and extend on the things that you taught in this lesson. If you don't, you can simply say, bye! Make sure you do leave time for a warm goodbye. Hopefully these tips have helped you. If you used somebody's referral link when you applied, use them. They're going to get paid when you teach your first class. So ask them for help, ask them for advice, ask to Skype with them and practice with them. If you applied without a referral link and would like me to help coach you through the process, there's information below on how to send an email and get our accounts linked together. If you haven't yet applied and would like to use me as your coach, please use my link below and I would love to help you through the process. Bye!